Yes, good morning to those who are up and early, ready to recap from this week 4 of the Northwest SAC League. It was another interesting week that, pretty much there are some people who are bouncing back, and then there are some people who are still falling off, and obviously some people who are still maintaining. But that's the reason why we play the game, and it's still early, but as you can see, things are starting to shift early in the league, and heading into week 5, we can now start to position ourselves and really pay attention to position for those of you that are trying to make the playoffs and not be in a consolation bracket. Myself included, I'm not trying to be in a consolation bracket because I was there last year and it sucked, even being at the bottom. That's why I had a chip on my shoulder this year, and I said, this ain't going to happen this year. I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to win. So let's get into it. First things first. The G-Men, myself, took care of business over Roe Dudley. Now, Roe Dudley was winning tremendously in the first half of the games, and then all of a sudden in the second half, my team started rolling, my players started coming alive, and I was able to take over. At first, I didn't know if I was even going to make it because Roe had a projected score, beat me by like 20. But some other guys stepped up into the mix. One of my guys who is on the MVP race right now, Brown. The G-Men 88-68 over Team Rowe. Antonio Brown, once again, my guy. He had 18 points, 4 receptions for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rowe, on the other hand, with Andrew Luck, had 17 points, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So far, I don't know if Rowe is just struggling. I don't know if he's like selecting his lineups. I don't know what he's doing right now, but I hope that he can bounce back because he still has a chance, just like everybody else. You still have a chance, but after next week, it's going to line itself up and it's going to be something serious. Then we got Toya Knight coming back and took care of Team Shelley. When the women go at it, I tell you, it's a battle for real. It's like a cat fight, dang near. 115-82 over Team Shelley. DeMarco Murray had 23 points for Team Knight, 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Michael Crabtree for Team Shelley had 26 points, 7 receptions, 88 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now over to the other game, Mimi in Tacoma with a laugher, 124-96 over that broken clock Team Littlejohn that got me last week, that messed up my undefeated record, but that's okay. Pretty much Mimi took care of business. Matt Ryan was her high scorer with 35 points, 503 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Now, this game was stupid because of the simple fact that it was a shootout. I mean, because if you really look at it, Team Littlejohn had Ben Roethlisberger, who had 34 points, who had 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, you do the math. You figure out which stat would you have rather have. That was insane. It was crazy. But, that score took care of business, and pretty much it put Mimi back into the mix at 2-2 as Littlejohn falls to 1-3. And then we had the Black Cheetahs. Zamadre Watson going off against Team Headbusters. In the beginning, Steve was actually doing a good job. He was actually taking control, and he was on his way. I see that he stopped going to his little source asking for advice, and he started going with his own heart and his own conscience. But he fell just short again. Sent the white flag early just so he wouldn't have to feel the wrath. But as you know, he's the king of entertainment, obviously. Fell once again to 1-3 as the Black Cheetahs moved up to 2-2. Madre with Dak Prescott had 17 points, 244 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For Team Headbusters, even though he's kind of struggling, he has an MVP that's doing his thing in Drew Brees with 12 points, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. We head over to Greg Williams versus David Hayes. Now, I'm telling you right now, David started out kind of slow as well, but now he bounced back and he's slapping fools in another laugher as well. 119 to 53 over Greg Williams. Now, I don't know if Greg Williams is sick. I don't know if he's just, trying to manage multiple fantasy teams and just didn't pay attention. But for some reason right now, it is not working for him as he falls to 1-3. David with Julio Jones, 36 points, 12 receptions, 300 yards, and a touchdown. I'm going to be scared if he comes out and plays me because I don't want to go against that. Not against David right now. And I was talking to him too, so he's a little fired up. Hopefully that'll fall to the wayside when he plays me. But Greg Williams had Carson Palmer, who's out with a concussion now. He had 11 points, 288 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. Then we head over to Team Quick Six, undefeated Quick Six, at 4-0 versus Team Keep It 100 at 2-2. Now Tyreek started out very well, but obviously he fell into a little speed bump. AJ Green for Team Quick Six had 10 receptions, 173 yards, and a touchdown. And Keep It 100 Tyreek with Le'Veon Bell with 144 yards and no tubs. And so there you have it right now after week 4. And I tell you right now, as we head over into week 5, you guys can see pretty much the schedule down below on who's playing next. It's going to be a good one. The G-Men versus Team Mimi. We've got Team Rowe at Team Shelly. And he can possibly bounce back and kind of make it interesting. Then we have Team Littlejohn facing Team Knight. We already know the odds makers are probably just going to make that, Team Knight going 4-1. Then we have David Hayes going against the Atlanta Headbusters. Come on, Steve. I'm a root for you on this one. I know you can do it. Put your lineup in and make sure you got the right people because you can still bounce back and win. Then we have Keep It 100 going up against the Black Cheetahs. Obviously, that's going to be a good one because they're both 2-2, and this can determine where they want to position themselves, whether they want to be in the playoffs or they're going to put themselves in the consolation bracket. And then Team Quick Six at 4-0. Come on, man. Will somebody stop this guy? Come on, Greg Williams. Put this guy in his place. Give him that first L so we can all line this thing up and get back into the mix and make this even again. Because myself and Toya Knight's really chomping at the bit to have the best record. With that being said, I also put together a brand new, obviously an MVP race as far as who's the MVP candidates are. Now, it's not just based upon who scores the most points, because obviously we know, there's some guys that have a lot of points, but it's based upon if you've played them during the week and if they started during the week. So the ones who've been the most consistent, as you guys can see, I'm putting those up right now. These are the people that have been the most consistent that are in the MVP race. And now what puts them in ranking is due to the points that they have based upon their play during the week. So if you've played them during the week and they started and, they ended up being your high score, those are your candidates. That's how it works. Not just off the points, because there's some guys that you could have possibly not have played that scored a whole bunch of points on the bench and you didn't start them. So that's how we're going to make this MVP thing work. And yeah, there you have it. As we get ready to go into week number 5, it's going to be a beautiful setup, and I hope that you guys are ready. Get your teams in order, because after this, it's going to be another breakdown, and it's time to get serious. Until then, keep your eyes on the prize, do your job, and study hard. And I'll see you next week.